Hi guys, it's Blackie. Okay, it's pouring rain outside and we had talked about doing some crafts inside. So today is a perfect day to do an inside craft. Now what I'm doing is my big tent, I call it, is a OneWind Penumbra. And here's a picture of what one looks like. As you can see, that's a big tarp. Now what that is just one big tarp that has zippers on the end so you can pull the sides to the ground and have basically a wall tent. And that's how I use it whenever I set up for a week or more, and I'm going to be using it as a base of operation, especially at my gatherings or something like that. For a week-long camp, it's perfect. But the thing about it is it's so big that when you close it up and make poles on the corners, make it kind of like a little wall tent, it's 14 foot from front to back at the apex. It's about 6 feet high, and the walls are you can put a 8 foot wide U.S. Army cot across the end. So yeah, it's a big Taj Mahal. She's big. And when I got it originally, I grabbed one of my quick setup Ridgelines and put it with it. But to be truthful, this was not originally built to be for this tarp tent setup. And it's always been a compromise, because when I made it, this was made for a 10-foot tarp. And this is a 14-foot tarp. And so my length is a little short for me to go around large trees. And a couple of times now I've gone to set this up and I've had to readjust trees because my Ridgeline was not quite long enough. So today we're going to fix that. Now, a good friend of mine, Mr. Chuck, gave me an entire spool of U.S. military type 7-strand, which is 750 cord, not standard 550, but 750. It's got more strands inside of it, so it's a higher tensile strength than this. I'm going to add to it a couple additional toggles, and we're going to do all this up close. I'm going to put the table up here where you can see it, and we're going to make up a new Ridgeline. Now, how long is this Ridgeline? Because it's been shown to be a little bit short for what I'm doing. That's what we're going to do, is we're going to measure. Now, I did not take out a tape measure. Again, this Ridgeline was really meant to go on a 10-foot tarp, but at the time I got that big tarp, I grabbed this, and this is the one I used. So, one full stretch, I am 5'10". 2 foot, 2 full stretches, a little over 10 feet. 3. Alright, now, you know when you got a camera on, that's when everything's got to make a knot, right? Hold on. There. 4. 5. So this was 5 full body length, reach out as far as you could, strides. I'm going to do 8 with the cord and make a much longer line that'll just fit better with the size of this tarp and set it up better. Now, let me get the table set up. We'll put it down. We're going to set this up. Okay, here is my 7 full pulls of cordage. Here's my lighter, something to cut with. Here's the old Ridgeline, and I'm going to be recycling these toggles I already have on it. Now all this is a Prusik knot of the heavier bank line going through a solid piece of white plastic. I went to the I went to like Lowe's and looked around, and they had these like half-inch or whatever hard plastic dowels that are used to make pulls for, you know, curtains and stuff like that, the thing you turn to open and close blinds. They had these, and I just bought one and hacksawed up. You can also take one of the heavy plastic coat hangers and cut them off. Either one will do, but I've drilled 2 holes in it and put the bank line through it. I'm just going to recycle these because there's nothing wrong with them. Now, over time, with your existing ridge lines, eventually you're going to get where you're going to need to recycle them or remake them, because the actual cordage can wear out on your ridge lines, especially if you're tying them in the same place over and over again. You can end up with a spot that got a hole in it, or so to speak, or the outer casing can wear through and you start seeing the white inner lines. When that happens, it's just better to, you know, cut losses and put a new cord on it. But now if these Prusik knots are still in good shape, there's no reason to throw the whole thing away. You can repurpose them, upcycle them. Now this ridge line is actually in good shape, so I'm not going to throw it away. I'm just going to take it and hank it up, and I'll use it for some other purpose. It's simply not long enough with its only malfunction. And that, you know, don't be afraid to adapt a little bit. Don't be afraid to experiment. I've had ridge lines that were way too short and way too long over the times because I have done different things with different tarps. In certain configurations you need more line to be able to stretch it out flatter or whatever, and other times you don't need nearly as much, and so you won't be able to cycle it down, so to speak. And yes, I know if I'm able to do this with all this cord just laying here and not make a mess, it's going to be a miracle. Just saying, because you know how it is. Alright, almost. I think we got one more turn to do there. Boom, boom. There we go. One last twist, and we're out of there. Tut, 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 tut. Do that. Come over. Twist that around. Twist that around. And there we go. Got it out. Now we'll just hank this up. This is, like I said, still good 550 cord, and can be turned into something else or turned into another ridge line for another project. To me, ridge line, I don't carry a separate ridge line anymore. I just carry like this. This is now, add a toggle to it, it'll be a long line that I carry in my kit. Ridge lines I carry with the tarp, with the tent. I don't bother to make it separate, because that just implies it's going to get separated, lost, or whatever. When I unroll the tent, I want to have my, right then, have the ridge line available. Okay, we're going to start by tying a bowline in one end and putting a toggle on this end. Now, I'm going to burn this end. First off, I'm going to trim it down. Actually, no. You know what we're going to do? We're going to straighten this out because it's been coiled around that spool, and therefore there's a kink to it. It wants to twist up. So we're going to straighten it all the way out between our hands like this. And then next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch it. So I'm going to start with this end that's got the already factory burned in it. And I'm going to put on a toggle. And these are just the big old buttons you can get at Walmart or something like that. Go into a fall coat or something. Run it through. Now I'm going to take this in and I'm going to create a pretty good sized bowline knot. Just like this. Pulling it down. Cinch it all up. Good and snug, and there is a nice good sized bowline knot. Now of course now my toggle fell down the line, but we'll get it back up here. Okay, now that I've got that, what this is going to allow me to do is I can come around the tree and I can button it to that toggle to make a quick disconnect so that it'll hold securely right there on the tree, but should I need to get it out, I can just twist it and it will open up. That allows me, in case, like I've said many times, like the trees get flexed because of a storm, which is very possible down here in my south. We can have high wind storms roll off the Gulf very little indication. And so therefore, having it where if this has been pulled blood tight, I can get it off. I still have the option of putting the whole spool through if I want to just make this bowling a loop. And I also have the way I can stick up there and just put a stick through to make a marlin spike hitch. So that's going to be the beginning of my Ridgeline right there. Now, I'm going to take and I'm going to pull this line, straighten it out, and I'm going to go ahead and put my 2 toggles on. Again, all this is just a loop of bank line with a solid toggle. I'm going to take the knot and I'm going to go around 3 times. 1, 2, 3 full times, and then I'm going to put my arm down to pinch it. Slowly work it and pull that knot so it rolls down onto the orange line and becomes taut. And you got to work this back and forth first couple times until you get it like that. Now it's bit down on it. Now that allows me to have a tension there so I can slide it on the line, but once it's there, see, it anchors, it bites down, and so it'll hold my tarp in place. I'm going to run this up here at the beginning. This hooks to the beginning of my tarp by I pull it like that, fold this through the grommet, and then button it like that onto the tarp so that I can unbutton it and detoggle it and take it off the tarp should I need to. It makes it where it's very easy to get on or off and to adjust that tarp without having it permanently attached in some way I can't take it down if I need to. Now the second one, same thing. I go around 1, 2, 3 full times, and then holding that line, work it back and forth until the slack comes out and it forms a knot. Just like that. Now it holds solid, but I can also slide it. So there's my 2 toggles to hook the tarp to it. Now on the far end, I'm going to put another toggle on. This is going to make it easier for me to tie it. In the older version I had right there, I had just tie a trucker stitch. I can still tie a trucker stitch if I want to, but I want this toggle to be used to run through and secure it. That way I can unbutton it like I did here. Alright, since this is a brand new line, I'm going to grip, I'm going to pull tension as I do this, and I'm sliding that outer casing over the inner line. Get that out of the way because you know what's going to happen. You're going to knock it off the table. And that also takes that kink out where it's been coiled around that spool. It's actually kinking up back here up under my arm as I do it. But it's straightening out, see? See how it's kinking up? Because it wants to twist up. Don't do this in a hurry because you can get a friction burn on your fingers. Keep it moving around too so you don't wear into you. Just like that. I've seen people just take them right out of the coil and go to make a ridge line and then wonder why it wants to kink up and it doesn't want to do right. It's because this line is spiraled around and you got to kind of pull it like this to get that spiral out of it. Also, when you first put up your ridge line, see how it's kinking up? Whenever you go to put it up the very first time and you pull this ridge line good and tight, it's going to stretch. And it'll stretch for, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. I will cinch it up and come back like an hour or 2 later and re-cinch it up to pull it good and tight. Normally about the second time I do it, that'll be the end of it. Now where that white was sticking out, about double that thing that's been drawn back in because now the casing is tight to that. And so I'm going to cut it off short, just like that. Try to make it as clean as I can. And I'm going to burn that. After, I was about to mess up now, wasn't I? There we go. Let's do that again because we got all that white sticking out there now. Just like that. Now let's burn it. Turn it in the flame. Come up into the white part of the flame. Alright, she's good and burnt. Now, to keep this from sliding off, I'm going to tie a small bowline in the very end. It's not going to be nearly as big a loop as on the other end, but it will be a small one. Just a little bit more. Make a loop, come up, go around, go back through. That keeps the very end of this line from being the grab point. I got a loop there now I can grab a hold of. Okay. With this toggle, it means, like I've demonstrated in videos before, I pull it and then I'm going to kink it. All I do is I get it, pull it to where I won't come back around, and then I will kink it around this line just like that, and that makes a cleat that I can come around the tree and wrap around to secure. I've demonstrated this in videos. We're having a quick detach ridgeline with 2 toggles on it. Now I'm going to gather this back up properly to do it. Now remember, this is going to be the end that's going to be tied on the tree, right? So I need to gather from the other end, so that when I pull this out to put it out the first time, because I'm going to put up my ridge line, then I'm going to throw my tarp over it, and then I'll secure my toggles to hold my tarp. So this initial one I need to unspool from that end, not this one. Now's a good time to just reverse it, stretching it back the other way like I'm doing. Again, to keep that skin, the outer shell, tight on the cord. Till I get back here to my toggles. Alright. I'm going to put them through my hand right there, and I'm going to start hanking. I like the bright orange ridge, or some color to ridge. Now when I, like I said, grabbed that, it was just a basic one I already had up and started using it. But every time I put up this big tarp, I have thought, I really need to sit down and make a dedicated ridge line. Now I have a dedicated ridge line. And it's a big bohunking ridge line. There we go. Alright. Now, we'll bring it out the fingers. Alright. Come on. Right there. Alright. And go to wrap. This way when I go, I can just pull it. It makes a quick deploy ridge line. And since I've got this toggle on here, what I can do is I can come around and actually hook this end over that toggle and like button it and pull it tight there. Now when I grab this end and pull, it'll just unspool. So when I go to put it up, I know that's the beginning, there's my first toggle, and there's my 2 prusicks to put on top. We're ready to go with that. So for just a couple of minutes, now I have a dedicated ridge line for that big tarp. This one served well, but it was always just a little bit short. I wanted those extra toggles on here. I wanted to be able to hook it up quickly and easily. And whenever you've got the resources and the time, is a good time to do it. Now here it is, it's the heat of summer, it is hot. And today it was a heat index well over 100, so I'm kind of limited in my outdoor activities. Plus it's come in some rain, and it's been rumbling and thundering for the last couple hours and raining. So I took this opportunity to do an inside craft right quick. I'm getting myself prepared for the fall and coming camping season. And by upgrading my big tent, I call it, I'm more set up properly. Now, I know some people are probably going to point out, Blackie, you got the toggles and everything, but you normally talk about in your Ridgeline videos about putting a third one in there. And that would be true, because when I'm setting up a Ridgeline to be used with most of the tarps, like this camouflage type tarp behind me, I want something in the middle grommet. So you got the two ends and one in the middle, so the middle doesn't bow down. You can pull it tight, but still wants to flap in the breeze. And so having that third one there, where I peek it over the Ridgeline like that and have something to tie out with in heavier weather. This big tarp tent, which is what the Penumbra is, when you unzip it and open up the sides, it is a ginormous tarp, and it makes for a big living space. But in the center of it, on the tarp itself, it's got a reinforced reinforced lantern hook in the tarp itself. So I can hang my battery powered lantern up, and I don't need one on my Ridgeline for that. So all I need is the bowline loop on the end that this whole thing can pass through, a toggle that allows me to button it around the tree and have other uses. I have two toggles right here. They're on prusik knots, so I can hook to the actual pull-out eaves on the grommets on the end of my tarp. And then I've got now plenty of Ridgeline to be able to stretch out to those bigger trees to get like I want. And the toggle on the back there will allow me to kink it over, lock it like a cleat, and then run around and pull it good and tight and lock it into position. Less knots, less fuss, less muss. And no doubt, with that bright color, that's the Ridgeline now, ain't it? So whenever I put it up the first time, I'm going to stretch it real good. Then I'm going to put my tarp on it, and it'll probably stay part of the tarp. So when I go to take it down, I unhook one of the toggles, and I roll the tarp up to the front. Then I roll up the Ridgeline and put it into its carrying case. So when I get there and I'm ready to put it up, all I got to do is pull it out, hook up the front end. That's obviously this end. I've got the one back on the Ridgeline where it was before, and I go walk and pull my Ridgeline up nice and tight, anchor it, unroll my tarp, and hook up that toggle. Quick and easy. It takes more to explain it than it would be for me to get my tarp up. But now, I got it the way I want it. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Summertime or foul weather is a great time when you've got the time to upgrade your gear. Do minor repairs, minor upgrades. How would you change some piece of gear to better suit your needs now? When I did this Ridgeline probably about 2014, that's what I was using at the time. Today, this is what I'm using. And so this is still going to be reused. This will probably become a long line in a cordage kit for a haversack. This is now a Ridgeline. Hope you've enjoyed it, guys. If you have, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.